everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Bench Podcast. Once again, I'm Aaron Valentino. I'm joined alongside Brandon Ladd and Jacob Johnson. Guys, it is after day 1 of the NFL draft. How are we feeling?
Feeling great. It's one of the best days ever. It's Christmas.
It's Christmas. I know Jake's feeling very okay-ish about his Giants pick last night.
Yeah, I was definitely okay-ish. I wasn't mad because we drafted offensive tackle to protect Daniel Jones and Saquon. But one, it wasn't the offensive tackle that I even had ranked number 1. We had the 4th pick. We had to choose all of them. But he's pretty pro-ready. He looks good. I watched a lot of his tape last night afterwards. I think that's a good pick. I think that Andrew Thomas is going to be a solid offensive lineman for the Giants. But it's just I think that Isaiah Wirfs and Jedrick Wills are a little better.
So we're going to go through a couple of the picks, the notable picks that we thought were interesting or, a lot of fun. And we're actually going to start with the New York Giants. Personally, just because I felt that Andrew Thomas is definitely the safest pick out of the 4. Brandon and I were talking before we started recording. Definitely the safest pick of those 4 offensive linemen. He's the most NFL ready. He's definitely got the highest floor of any of them. Not the highest ceiling, but the highest floor of any of them. I want to say I'm surprised he went with Andrew Thomas, but with Dave Gettleman, does anything really surprise you, Brandon?
No, nothing really surprises you. The one thing that surprises me, though, if this is their guy, they could have traded back. They could have gotten a bounty of picks for him. They could have traded back to 9, 10, 11, 12, even 13 with the Bucks. The Bucks were originally 14. You could trade back to 14. Nobody was going to touch this guy. I get that this is the guy you guys scouted, solid tackle. He is NFL ready, but you guys could have gotten a first-round pick next year out of him.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and that's what I said. I was waiting, and my friend Trevor actually FaceTimed me. He's like, I want to see a reaction to their pick. And the minutes were counting down, and it was there was a minute left before it even said pick is in. I was like, this is kind of taking a long time. A lot of them were saying 4 or 5 minutes pick is in. Are they trading this pick? I don't know why it took them so long to say Andrew Thomas, but evidently they decided to stay with it. You can't be surprised. You can't really be surprised with the decisions this guy makes. No one thought he was picking Daniel Jones last year. He went with that. When he picks a guy, though, he is in love with that guy. He was in love with Daniel Jones. No one else was on his radar. It was Daniel Jones. So I was looking at the reports afterwards, and they said Andrew Thomas was their guy from day 1. Tristan Wirfs started coming on late, but they loved Andrew Thomas from day 1, and that's why they went with him. So they really could have – I agree with Ladd. They really could have traded back and probably gotten a couple picks out of it, but they decided not to, and hopefully, dear God, hopefully pray that this helps our offense line.
Yeah, no, I think it will. Andrew Thomas is a solid offensive tackle. I feel confident in his abilities. I thought he was going to go later, or I thought the Giants were going to go Isaiah Simmons. Obviously, they felt like offensive tackle was the priority, and that's what they went with. Moving on now to the Chargers. Personally, for me, I always felt like they were going to go with Herbert. I know there were some rumors going, left and right on if they're going to trade back and go with Jordan Love or if they're going to draft Jordan Love at 6, but they stuck with it. They got their guy at 6 and Justin Herbert. Jake, this is the guy you wanted last year for the Giants, but now he plays for the Chargers. Really solid pick by them.
Yeah, really, really good pick. They got him at 6, pretty much where everyone was predicting him to go. I know a couple people had him dropping because the Chargers were going to go Jordan Love. But Justin Herbert, they needed that quarterback of the future. I really don't think, they were saying, Tyrod Taylor's our guy. But you got to have a young guy. You can't really trust Tyrod Taylor that much. I think that Herbert goes in there. He sits for a couple games, and then the Chargers realize how bad the Tyrod Taylor is, and then Justin Herbert comes into play. Very solid pickup. And now for the rest of the draft, the Chargers need to work and build around Herbert. You're going to have to get another running back. You're going to have to get offensive line help, maybe another wide receiver there. So they're going to have to build around him the rest of this draft.
Yeah, we can't deny Justin Herbert's arm ability, but the film is so shaky for me. But you could say the same about Jordan Love's film this past season. I tried to get my small school hysteria started before the draft, saying Herbert's going to fall and Jordan Love's going to be a top 5 pick, and I tried to get all that going, but it didn't end up happening. Herbert just fell into the Chargers' lap at 6. It's a safe pick. It's another safe pick. I don't like safe, but it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's a solid pick for the Chargers. I honestly think he starts day one for the Chargers. I don't think he'll be on the bench. I just think he's I think he's a better option for the Chargers than Tyrod Taylor. This is a situation. Normally, I'm a guy that likes to, let the rookie sit, especially the rookie quarterback sit for a season or two. But I think this is a situation where if Tyrod Taylor is your starting quarterback, why wouldn't you just go with Justin Herbert? Moving on now to the Cardinals. Isaiah Simmons was a guy that a lot of people thought the Giants were going to take him, thought he was maybe going to be a top 5 pick, and he falls all the way to 8, right into the Cardinals' lap. I think this is just a case where the Cardinals just waited back, lad, and they got their guy.
Yeah, the Cardinals got a really good player, but as we were talking about before, this really should have been the Texans' player. Like everything, if you're into that time-space stuff, if the Texans make the correct trade with DeAndre Hopkins going to Arizona, this is their pick. And with everything that happened with the Giants not drafting Simmons, they would have gotten a Pro Bowl. Like they're saying this is the second best player in the draft behind Chase Young. And everyone says the versatility is like Palomalu with the Steelers years ago. Darwin James is the modern day example, even though he was injured this past season for the Chargers. These are really good Pro Bowl players. Seems like the Cardinals stole one here because they get a Pro Bowl wide receiver, the best wide receiver in the game, and now it seems like they have a Pro Bowl defensive player from day one. It seems like the Texans are the loser in this, even though they had nothing to do with it, but the Cardinals are the winner.
Yeah, to me it was completely wild to see that the Panthers didn't even take him. I thought for sure if he dropped past the Giants and the Chargers and the Dolphins, that it was going to be the Panthers guy, and I think that he fit in really well there. But Matt Rule really loves his defensive guys. He loves the D linemen. So it wasn't really a surprise to me that they went with Derek Brown. But for him to then drop to the Cardinals and then they get an absolute superstar out of Isaiah Simmons, who I've been watching film on since like the draft, since the season ended last year, because that's who the Giants were projected to go with. He's a huge guy. He can play anywhere. He's so fast. This is a huge pickup for the Cardinals. And I think that this team's kind of going to be scary good next year if they can add a couple more pieces. I know the NFC West is a really, really hard division, but they're going to make this division much harder.
Cardinals definitely making a late push. Hopefully Kyler Murray can have a big season number 2 for them, and Simmons can lead that defense to some major wins. Moving on now. So the big 2 receivers going into this draft were obviously CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy. Everybody was talking about these guys. If you were looking for a receiver, these were the 2 guys you were talking about. But Henry Ruggs III, his stock really rose late. And guys, he ends up going before Lamb and Jeudy. Jake, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I honestly think it was more of a personnel fit. I think that the Raiders really wanted a speedy wide receiver. I think that Henry Ruggs fit them really well. It was in their depth chart. They really wanted a really quick wide receiver. That being said, I don't really know how you can pass up Jerry Jeudy. I don't know how, in my opinion, I really don't know how the 49ers passed up Jerry Jeudy. I know, to me, I was looking at this last night, and this trade made no sense to me. The Buccaneers trading with the 49ers 1 pick. I personally didn't think that the 49ers were going to take Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa from the Buccaneers. They really don't need an offensive lineman, so that trade didn't make sense to me. But for Henry Ruggs, it's honestly huge that he was able to go at 12, and my winner of the draft is the Broncos going with Jerry Jeudy at 15. That's a steal at 15. That's huge because he was projected to go. A bunch of us when we were talking, I had him going to the Jets at 11. People had him going at 9 to the Jaguars. He dropped all the way to 15 in the Broncos' lap. That's Drew Lock's future right there.
His Drew Lock's future right there. But I disagree with you a little bit here because I think there's a steal 2 picks later that we need to talk about as the best pick in the draft. But before we get to that, though, the Raiders, if you watch Hard Knocks last year, with Antonio Brown, they had an offense installed that was meant for a wide receiver over the top, a spacing tight end, and then a slot receiver. They had the offense made for that. Then Antonio Brown started wilding on Twitter and started beating people up and throwing kids to the ground, and people were out in the yard, and there was a whole bunch of stuff, and there was words thrown to the police. But anyways, the Raiders offense never happened, but now they have that with Henry Ruggs III, so this is a very good pick for Gruden. As far as Jerry Jeudy to the Broncos, The only thing hurting Jerry Jeudy is he has never had to face double coverage. I don't feel like Cortland Sutton is the type of receiver that's going to demand double coverage on every single play. So at Alabama, with their 4 and 5 wide receivers that are going to end up first-round picks as the years play out here, he never had to face tight bump and run coverage with a safety over the top. There was just too much talent on the field for that to happen. So I feel like it's going to be a learning process that you're going to see that the guy that won at 17, it's not going to have to be a learning process.
And honestly, Jake, you were talking about the Broncos winning with Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, I do kind of agree with that because a lot of people feel, including myself, that Jeudy, was probably the better, receiver overall. For the Cowboys to get CeeDee Lamb at 17 is just unbelievable to me. CeeDee Lamb was a guy that Jets fans loved. CeeDee Lamb was a guy that, Raiders fans loved. CeeDee Lamb was a lot of people's favorite receiver in this draft. He's flashy. He's fun. And for the Cowboys to get him at 17 and pair him up with Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, and Ezekiel Elliott, it's just too easy for Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones got to 17, and he was like, yeah, of course I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I mean, it really just the same thing with the Broncos. CeeDee Lamb just fell into the laps of the Cowboys. I saw a thing that Jerry Jones was drafting from his yacht. So his $2.5 million yacht in the middle of the water. So when he's sitting out there and he's watching, he goes, oh, CeeDee Lamb. He's like, might as well just add him to this wide receiver core into this offense. So as a Giants fan, it's definitely going to be really tough because that means our corners are going to have to work harder. I think that we're going to have to pick another corner in this draft because you have the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb, you have Amari Cooper, you have Michael Gallup, you got Zeke coming out of the backfield. That's kind of a stacked offense. The only problem is Dak Prescott's not a good quarterback.
Well, sometimes the weapons make up for the arm of the quarterback, as we've seen with Tom Brady for all these years. It depends on the scheme and the weapons. And I thought the Cowboys were going to play it safe. I was ready for them to take Xavier McKinney, who still hasn't been drafted yet, but he was the guy everybody was saying, center field safety. He fits the Cowboys' new defensive scheme. It was going to be fine. It was going to be a B+, a B- draft pick. But instead, they said, let's try to hit a home run off our yacht tonight. Let's go for the A+, +++ draft pick. And I think this is the draft pick that sets the Cowboys apart because they stole CeeDee Lamb from the Eagles. It's the biggest FU to the Eagles. All you guys see is Skip Bayless's Twitter account today. All caps. He's just saying, we just pulled the greatest draft heist on the Eagles in the history of the NFL. So we did.
Yeah, and speaking of the Eagles, they waited at 21. Eagles fans were hoping that they were going to trade up and get one of these guys. Jeudy and Lamb were falling by the second, and the Cowboys were able to snag CeeDee Lamb, which caused kind of, a couple of events that caused 3 more wide receivers being taken in the first round. Jalen Reagor is going to go to the Eagles at 21, which is weird because I would have honestly had them pick Justin Jefferson out of LSU at 21. Justin Jefferson then goes to the Vikings for Kirk Cousins to have a weapon. And then, of course, the 49ers are going to take Brandon Ayuk. Is that how you say it?
Ayuk.
Yeah, Ayuk. So Brandon Ayuk is going to go to the 49ers. And, I don't know how many people had 6 wide receivers going in the first round. I think Ruggs, Lamb, and Jeudy were the ones that everyone expected to go first round. But once those 3 were gone off the board, some other teams were like, all right, we just better get our receiver now just so it's over with. And, we get the guy we were hoping to get in the second round. And for the Eagles, why wouldn't you go with Justin Jefferson out of LSU, lad?
It's one of the most mind-baffling things ever. Justin Jefferson, 18 touchdowns last year for LSU, second on the team behind Jamar Chase with 20. But when you have 20 and 18 touchdowns on one team, that's the best in the country. So this is the second best wide receiver in the country last year. He was better than all the Alabama receivers stat-wise. He had a good quarterback, just like they would have had with Carson Wentz. With an accurate quarterback, you're going to have the same production. It isn't this mind-baffling equation here. But they miss. Reagor was 40 to 50th on most draft boards. The Eagles, they got baffled and just sabotaged by what the Cowboys did. They were on the ropes. They had no clue what was going to happen after that. And they might as well just pack it in. They might as well not play the season because they know the NFC East went back to Big D.
I honestly was a little baffled when I saw Jalen Reagor go ahead of Justin Jefferson. When I was watching the draft, I saw the board and I saw the wide receivers that were there, and I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Eagles go Justin Jefferson. They don't have a big wide receiver. They go smaller. They go Jalen Reagor. He's quicker. To your point, Aaron, you said 6 wide receivers. In my mock draft, I actually had 7. The only one that I don't have that's still out there is T. Higgins. He's one of the best available in the second
In the
round.
next round.
So I was a little mind blown when I saw that they went Jalen Reagor. He's a decent wide receiver. You know, he's gonna fill a void that the Eagles needed, but he's not Justin Jefferson. They needed a big guy that they can throw too deep, that they could throw fades to in the end zone. And then they kind of go with a smaller TCU wide receiver. So I honestly think that it's definitely a weird pick, and it's something that we're gonna have to look at in the future to see how well he does compared to these other wide receivers in this class.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a no-brainer. I knew the Eagles were going to take a receiver, and I thought Justin Jefferson was going to be the guy, but it just did not happen. And, once we got to that 22, 21 range, I was like, all right, everything's kind of lined up for the Patriots to take Jordan Love. And Bill Belichick trades out of the first round entirely, doesn't get a quarterback, isn't going to get a quarterback, and trades out of the first round, and the Packers – they just go right ahead and steal him. This is very interesting to me. Jordan Love's obviously he's not going to play this season, barring any injuries to Aaron Rodgers. But this is really interesting for the Packers and the Patriots. And to me, Jake, I think that personally, I think once Bill Belichick traded out of the first round last night, to me that confirmed, yeah, they're not looking to win this year. They're looking to get Trevor Lawrence next year.
Yeah, it was definitely weird to see that they traded right out. Especially with Jordan Love still being on the board there. But the Packers scooped him right up. And, as I said, he's going to be Aaron Rodgers' replacement in 2 years. I think that Rodgers probably has 2 solid years left of playing, maybe a third. And, he was doing a charity event last night where they were live streaming the draft. And he goes, I've been here 15 years and they have not taken a position player.
Skills player, yeah.
A skills player in the first round in 15 years. He says that, and then they take Jordan Love, and he goes, "Oh, okay." So, evidently they're looking for his replacement already. Definitely a weird pick considering Aaron Rodgers still has no weapons, and other than Devontae Adams. But I think that they have to make a big move in the second round. They're going to have to trade up to get one of these other solid receivers. T. Higgins still out there. Denzel Wims is still out there. KJ Hamler's still out there. So there's some still very solid receivers. But I have a feeling they're going to go in the top half of the second round. So unless the Packers want another solid receiver, they're going to have to trade up again in this round.
Yeah, it did make sense to me, the Packers, because they're basically saying, yeah, there's a year or 2 more of Aaron Rodgers, and then we're moving on. That's what this pick tells you. Getting a quarterback so high, it's what they did with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers 15 years ago. It's like history repeating itself again. The thing about Aaron Rodgers, though, is I think they're realizing they have a Tony Romo situation on their hands, and he's very fragile. I think, does he have a full 16-game season in him anymore, the way he's not protected? In the way the offense is going to get him pounded this season, it seems like he's a broken collarbone away from his career being over. So I can see why they would pick here, but it seems like they're quitting on Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no. When the Patriots traded, I thought he was going to the Patriots, and they traded. I honestly thought the Saints were going to grab him, be a nice backup for Drew Brees. Saints didn't do it, and I really thought he was going to fall all the way to the second round. And the Packers came and scooped him up, and Bill Belichick with a very interesting decision there. Night 2 of the draft is going to be a lot of fun. I thought last night, the broadcast went really well. I thought it was really funny that they had fans boo Roger Goodell still because, of course, they did. And I think a lot of teams made really solid picks in this first round. Everybody was watching this. ESPN, great job.
Yeah, it was honestly great. Not too many bugaboos in the system last night. One last pick that I want to touch on, or 2 last picks. Patrick Queen to the Ravens, very, very good pickup at 28. I honestly think he's going to be a star linebacker in this league. And to get him at 28, a lot of people had him going between 15 and 20. A lot of people had him going to the Saints or the Chargers. So they got Kenneth Murray, and the Saints ended up taking that center. And something that was a little weird to me, I know Lad's going to hate me for saying this, but the Chiefs taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire last in the Helaire?
Yes.
Last in the first round. When you still have J.K. Dobbins and DeAndre Swift on the board, I just think that those two running backs are ranked higher than Edwards is. And why you would go him in that position than DeAndre Swift and J.K. Dobbins, that was kind of a questionable thing to me.
I agree with you with J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor, and DeAndre Swift. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor isn't going to be catching a ton of balls out of the backfield, so he doesn't fit the Chiefs' offense. But Dobbins and Swift, you have people more talented than Edwards-Helaire. But for everyone watching this, do your homework. Watch Alabama versus LSU this past season. Helaire almost had 10 catches out of the backfield, and he had over 100 yards rushing. He just tore up one of the best defenses in the country. I think that's the film that the Chiefs are banking on going forward, because Swift didn't have film like that. Helaire did. So it's shocking because Edwards-Helaire is only 5'8", where DeAndre Swift is approaching 6 foot. So I'm with you there, Jake, where it's a bit mind-baffling, but I think the Chiefs were in a position where they could pick and choose what player they wanted, and they did.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. Heading into round 2 tonight, honestly, I think there's going to be a lot of receivers going. A lot of teams need a receiver, and this is like one of the deepest wide receiver drafts ever. I mean, T. Higgins is great, and, I'm personally hoping that he falls into the Jets' laps at 48 tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch tonight. Everyone's going to be watching. This is going to be the highest-rated night 2 of the NFL draft, definitely in the history of any televised draft. Wouldn't you guys think?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that I'm obviously going to be watching. The millions of people around the world are going to be watching. It's the only thing that fills our sports world void. Just to kind of touch up what you were saying, Aaron, about the prospects left. I'm going to read like the last top 15 according to Mel Kiper. We have Xavier McKinney, the safety out of Alabama, DeAndre Swift, Ezra Cleveland, the offensive tackle, Ross Blacklock, who I had going in the first round, J.K. Dobbins, Antoine Winfield Jr., a very good safety, T. Higgins, A.J. Apenza, who many had going to the Seahawks in the first round, Yetur Gross-Matos from Penn State, Jonathan Taylor. One of my 2 picks that I want the Giants to take tonight, Grant Delpit, safety at LSU, or Zach Bond. And then you have Josh Jones and Trevon Diggs. So there's some very, very good players left. Those top 15 that I just named all could have been first-round picks.
But yeah, I'm with you there, Jake. I have 3. Do you agree with me here? I'm going to read off 4 landmines I have left in this draft. If your team gets them, you're ahead of the competition. Laviska Shenault Jr., Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins, and Josh Jones, the offensive tackle out of Houston, who Pro Football Focus graded him at 94.8 this past season, the best offensive tackle season of all time in college football history.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that.
Scared of him. But
I completely agree.
So, Aaron, there's 4 landmines. You think any are going to fall to your Jets?
Listen, I think I personally think the Jets, especially after going tackle yesterday, I think they have to go receiver. And I think Higgins would be the guy because I think he's the best receiver left in this draft. I was hoping Justin Jefferson would maybe fall, and of course that lasted about 4 picks. But I think the Jets have to go receiver. Josh Jones is another guy that I think would be good for the Jets because Joe Douglas just really kind of just wants to stack up on this offensive tackle depth. But I think the need at receiver, especially after drafting Becton last night, is needed. Much, much needed. So moving on now from football, finally. It seems like we've been talking about football forever. There was some baseball news yesterday. The Boston Red Sox, it took a long time, really, for MLB, maybe because of this whole pandemic. It took a little bit longer for everybody to get together. They got a slap on the wrist as far as punishments go. Their second-round pick was taken away. Their video operator was suspended for a year, which is, who cares about that? And then Alex Cora will get suspended for 1 season, but it has nothing to do with the Red Sox. It goes back to the Astros investigation, so he also gets a suspension for a year from Major League Baseball. It's a slap on the wrist. I mean, granted, I think a lot of people knew it wasn't going to be as bad as the Astros situation, but still, I mean, Rob Manfred is really kind of – he didn't listen to the fans at all. He's really kind of botched this whole cheating situation.
Yeah, Rob Manfred's honestly a joke. Everything that he has done so far is absolutely abysmal as the commissioner of this league. I think that he's screwed himself over. He screwed the MLB over. Honestly, the Red Sox and the Astros both should have got more punishments than they did. I know we all talked about the Astros a while ago when it first came out, and they got absolutely nothing. What was given to them was just like, oh, okay, like it doesn't even matter. You are not taking our World Series ring. Players aren't going to be suspended. Now for the Red Sox, I know it wasn't as bad, but you lose a second-round pick, and then your manager gets fired, and your videographer should be banned for life.
Yeah.
One season?
That's what I don't get.
Are you kidding me?
Someone put out on Twitter yesterday they couldn't ban the guy for life. I mean, or 2 seasons. They lose him for a season. I mean,
yeah. And there's word that he's back for the playoffs. I don't know why they're protecting this guy. It just doesn't make sense. But I'm with you there, Jake. Manfred's a bit of a joke, but I want to caution people. You can't take out what the Astros did on the Red Sox. The only thing they've been found guilty of so far is having a sketchy replay of operation guy and making a sketchy hire. In theory, the Mets paid more of a price than the Red Sox did because Cora wasn't even fired at this point. He's just suspended. We don't know when he's going to come back, if this season counts or not. But it seems like this was just a slap on the wrist. But I want to caution people, just because Manfred did a horrible job handling the Astros situation doesn't mean he had to take it out on the Red Sox. Aaron, I'm interested in your opinion on that, though. Beltran not being allowed to go to the Mets seems more of a punishment than anything the Red Sox got.
I think – I mean, the Astros, listen, as much as they probably should have gotten more, for 2 first-round picks is tough to lose for the next 2 years. And then obviously losing your manager and your general manager right before the season was supposed to start is big. It is. It's big. Maybe not to the extent that MLB fans wanted, but that's big. Losing Beltran is – I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like, I know this is old news, but of course, they're caught fire, and obviously Cora was going to be suspended. We knew that as soon as, the Astro scandal came out. We knew Cora was going to be suspended eventually, and it's obviously today. The Red Sox had even fired him before he got suspended. So he was already gone. The Red Sox were already looking for a new manager. But, as far as Manfred goes, yes, we can't exactly take out us being mad of what he did to the Astros on the Red Sox. But before this all happened, Rob Manfred, to me, was up there with Adam Silver as far as great commissioners in all major sports go. And he has just completely fallen all the way down that list to where Roger Goodell sits.
Yeah, he's below Roger Goodell right now.
And everybody hates Roger Goodell. Nobody likes Roger Goodell.
No, he's below the NCAA right now, and that's rock bottom. You can't get any lower than that.
So it's just more bad baseball news. It's just the whole look is bad for baseball. The players now hate the commissioner. The fans don't like the commissioner. The fans hate one entire team. I don't know how people were obviously upset about the Red Sox punishments, but nowhere near to where it was for the Astros. People hate a team that people loved. When the Astros were, on that World Series run, I was a big fan of them. And it's just completely ruined the sport. It's just so sad to look at.
Yeah, I completely agree. I liked some of the Astros players before that. I liked Bregman. I liked Correa. I loved Altuve as a second baseman myself. I loved watching him play. So seeing those guys and then this whole thing transpire, it honestly, it hurts me as a baseball fan to see what they did. And then for Rob Manfred just to give him a little slap on the wrist. No, the players are suspended. Sure, you lose your manager for a season. He's going to be fired. He's fired anyways, but it doesn't even matter. You're still winning your World Series ring. You're still having that championship trophy. hanging it in your building, your practice facility. So it's just ridiculous. And Rob Manfred, I don't know how he doesn't listen to fans, because I feel like if I was a commissioner of a sport, I would be checking the fans and seeing, oh, what do they want me to do? How do they want me to do the All-Star game? Where would they like the Super Bowl? Stuff like that. And then when something big like this drops, you're going to be looking at the fans and seeing, okay, yeah, not all fans are the smartest people in the world, but you have to be looking to the experts and people on Twitter who actually look like they know what they're talking about, seeing what they're saying and using that as well as your own opinion. But for you to just completely disregard everything that everybody's saying and then just do your own thing, I don't know what – does he have like a good friendship with the owner? Like, what is wrong with this man?
It's just really sad to see. And, to see those punishments go out yesterday was just another kind of slap in the face to baseball fans. But what are you going to do? The league wants money. If they suspend players, they're going to lose money. That's just a fact. And Manfred clearly was not about to lose a ton of money in either situation for the Red Sox or the Astros. Moving on now to our last topic of discussion today. Finally, The Last Dance is here, and it has given everybody something to watch while they're stuck at home. The first 2 episodes were 20% of the way through, and I texted Brandon, after I was done watching them, it's already the greatest documentary ESPN has ever done. I mean, what a great job by everybody involved, Brandon.
Yeah, it's a great documentary, and I have no life, so I've seen about 150 ESPN documentaries ranging from women's golf to NASCAR to boxing. I've seen it all. I've seen Little League sports. I've seen people just push their truck up the driveway. There's all sorts of documentaries on ESPN. But this one trumps them all. This is one of the best documentaries of all time. I don't know why they had to hold on to this footage for 23 years now before they could release it. Obviously, they held on to it for 20 years before they even started interviews. It's amazing. The interviews with David Stern, obviously David Stern passed away this past year. Amazing interviews there because he was running a mafia-type business with the NBA during their explosion there. He was that type of commissioner. Michael Jordan interviews are amazing. It's told me that Michael Jordan isn't just a grump. He's just taken his 6 championships and lives out on the Outer Banks and enjoys his life. It's an amazing documentary. And I just saw a notification here that said from ESPN, Mamba Al, Kobe Bryant's final season with the Lakers was captured in all-access behind-the-scenes look by a camera crew. So I have what we're watching in 2043 when the swine flu comes back. So we're good to go.
Honestly, they weren't even going to release this documentary right now
until June. Yeah,
they only decided to do it because everyone's stuck at home and then there's no sports on. So they were like, you know how many viewers we're going to get because everyone's going to be wanting to watch this. If it was June, people would be, it's summer. People are going to be out. They're not going to be home. They're going to be out on their boats. So doing it right now when people are stuck in their house, fantastic decision. Yeah. I watched the first 2 episodes the other night. I honestly loved it. I've never been a huge basketball guy. So I never really kind of followed the Michael Jordan, LeBron James, who's the greatest of all time. So watching this, it's definitely really, really helped me kind of figure out things about the NBA. And then, as Lad said, the Kobe Bryant one, I'm sure in 2063 we'll get a LeBron James one. And then we'll be able to compare the two when it's that time.
I lived the LeBron James one. It's called Heartbreak. It's
just a great job by everybody involved. And I like some of the things, like you didn't even know some of the things, like the whole thing about Scottie Pippen, a 7-year, $18 million contract.
122nd in the NBA. He's 122nd highest paid player.
Just because he grew up in a family that had nothing, so he felt like he needed to be secure with his wealth. So the
owner is telling him, Scottie, I don't think you should sign this contract.
It's crazy. And how transparent that owner is. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Jerry Krause. Oh, God.
Yeah, and then everybody hates Krause. Everyone in America hates Krause.
It's like Carol Baskin with the Tiger King. Everyone hates Jerry Krause now. This dude is a dick.
Yeah. They just did a great job. I'm excited for the Dennis Rodman episode on Sunday. And then episode 4. And then after that, I can't even – when they get to the playoff series, that's going to be fantastic.
We haven't even gotten to Michael Jordan punching Steve Kerr yet in practice.
No, we haven't even gotten to that yet. Or like, he's playing, they're scouting him in high school, and like people are like, yeah, we heard about him, and we thought we'd go check him out. And after one day of scouting, the guy goes, this is the greatest player I've ever seen. And he's 18 years old. And it's just, what an incredible job by everybody involved at ESPN. Bravo to you guys for putting this together. I can't wait for Sunday. Guys, any last words before we sign off here?
I hope the Giants make a big pick like Landon Collins today.
T. Higgins, let's go. Let's go Jets, baby. Hopefully
Cowboys
you fall.
Build on their landmine pick from yesterday. Congrats to the NBA G League for ending college sports one and done this past week with the $500,000 G League special for elite prospects. We'll get into that next week, I'm assuming. Until then, everybody stay safe. Jake, what's your saying? Yeah, you don't have a say. I thought you were going to.
Everyone stay safe, stay healthy. We love you.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. See you guys later.